Hello, and welcome to the Epilogue for Wyverns and Weirdos Corruption, the first of our campaigns. I'm your Dungeon Master, Darby. Joining me as always are Laura, playing Bertie, Mitch, playing Caius, Eddie, playing Anya, Jake, playing Neumann, Zoe, playing Ross, and Johanna, playing Rook. Let's jump into things. So, where we last left off, a scam artist in a small village fete happened to be set up next to a criminal alchemist, fossilizing those purchasing his wares. Beside a elven rogue, a tabaxi inventor. They investigated, and at the celebrations at the end of the festival, they met a Ganassi who was waiting to be able to return a bounty in a big city. They went to the big city, where they parted ways for a time, and with the Ganassi, and had many adventures together before being reunited. Soon after, in the strangest of circumstances, they encountered a human as he literally fell in the middle of a teleportation circle that was being cast. They then travelled half a world away, the five of them, where, while some had to part ways for a time, they met a tiefling bard. Eventually, all six were reunited together, where they took down a demigod that had once been banished as the shadow fell. A year later, the same six fought against the odds and against countless beasts and mages and undead to defeat a despotic regime in the homeland of the bard, the inventor, and the Ganassi. And we last left them on the evening of celebration, having defeated earlier that day the leader at the head of that regime, going to bed as they watch, or going to rest as they watched the festival below weighing to a close. We now look to what those six plan to do in the year ahead. So this is going to be a little bit freeform. We'll start with some immediate stuff, and We might be bouncing around in the timeline a little bit, but for the time being, we're sticking to the immediate year following the defeat of Taven and the Dread Magisters.
Don't think any of us want to start because that means it's the end.
Oh.
I guess I spoke first, so it's Anya's funeral. No pun intended. In the year immediately after, those around Anya, they would notice a strange aura, I guess, surrounding her. Almost similar in the year following their defeat of Zorthram to Thara, where she just seems a little bit lost, but not this time in a bad way. Having passed away and brought back by her friends, with the knowledge that everything was going to change, you would all notice a almost antsiness to her. Like she can't decide between acting or resting. In that year, or in the weeks following their last big battle and Anya's death and, well, rebirth, she spends as much time as she can with the others before they do inevitably go their separate ways. Some together and some individually. But she tries to stay as close by as she can. After the first couple of weeks of organising and of tying up loose ends finishes, and at such a time as Bertie and Caius are deciding to make their way home, Anya would approach Rook and she almost nervously would ask Rook what her actions and intentions were going forward in the immediate future.
I think Rook would respond that that she has a couple of priorities now. So of course, Anya and Roya are her greatest priorities at the moment, and that she also she cares for her homeland and she wants to make sure that Kharas really is free, that the no more like minor wizards of the ruins or supporters or other trouble seekers trying to get power jump in. So Rook would initially want to stay in Kharas, somewhere with Roya to work to improve that. And then ideally she'd like Anya to be there, but if not, Rook's happy to travel and to be with Anya and to seek out teleportation circles as well to visit.
So in response to that, Anya decides to stay with Rook and with Roya for the year following. She spends a lot of her time helping Rook with finding the last of the wizards and extinguishing them, and helping to free Kharas in whatever ways she can. And on the days that she can, she makes her way back home to what she knows won't be her home for much longer, and starts making arrangements with Bertie for her to start moving her things and start leaving. When she does this, she also has quite a lot of contact with Athena, still organising and communicating to do with the artifacts that she is slowly making arrangements to return to their homes. But she prioritises spending time with Rook and spending time with Roya. And once Roya is comfortable, Anya asks Roya if she would join her in hunts and in camps in the forest. And when she asks, she Roya, I know it won't be the same. It will never be the same as learning from your ancestors. But I know the forests, and I know the earth, and I know the ways that it can give and it can take. And it would be my honor to help you in any way I can.
Thank you, Anya. I think that would be very nice.
So, at each change of the season, Anya will organize a few days of a hunt or a few days of a camp and teach Roya just the different ways that the earth changes and the different parts that can both be useful and be harmful, and tries to share her knowledge as best as she can, while also just desperately trying to bond with this kid who she knowing what she can be like. She's very trepidatious at first and tries to, so closer towards the end of the year, once a lot of the work has been done in Kharas, Anya, she starts spending more time back at home with Bertie at Bertie's, just starting to sort of make plans to shift. And I believe that her and Rook have started talking about establishing somewhere to call a home base. Not necessarily in the most traditional sense, with both of them being travelers and wanderers and nomadic in nature, but somewhere where, for at least the short term, while Roya is still learning and growing, where they can call a little home. So she, towards the end of the year, decides to spend a couple of weeks at Bertie's, and tries to spend as much time with him as she can, very subtly, before she knows it's time to shift on.
Yeah, Bertie would also bully her incessantly, be like, "Oh, moving in together, boy, it's a big step on ya," that kind of stuff. Nudge, 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 nudge.
And Anya, nearly every time, would have some form of retort of, I really should start speaking to Neumann about getting noise-canceling earpieces or something of the sort.
Oh, well, okay. I hope you enjoy the move out, Anya. Yep, cool. Another drink? Yes? Yes.
Of course. And towards the end of her stay, one morning when Caius is over, Anya pulls them both aside for a moment. Hi, good morning.
Hello.
Good,
Hi.
good tea this morning. I have a favor to ask. One of you, but both of you, in a way.
It's not about the noise-canceling headphones, is it?
No, though in a way it does solve that problem. I know that it is with everything that happened and with everything that is yet to come, it's hard to be apart. But I'm planning on going on a journey at the end of this week. It will take about a month there and back, and Caius, I wanted to ask if you would come along. And I know you both have autonomy. You're not... please don't see this as asking permission, but Bertie, I want to make sure that you would be okay if I borrow him for a month. Also.
But he kind of like leans in and like on Kaiser's side a little bit. Not like in the kind of clingy way, just in kind of like a like just some kind of like physical like a connection. But he just kind of like looks a bit like his brows furrowed. And then he does like let out a little breath that he didn't know he was holding. He's like, I mean, yeah, it's up to you guys. We hang out, so it's not.
I'm sorry. Me, Caius.
Anya, she can't help but smile a little bit at that. She's like, yeah. It surprised me too a little bit, but sometimes you just know, you know? I'm sorry, I'm not I'm not making a lot of sense, and I'm not really explaining myself. I'm going to Halloween. I'm going to visit Bryn. Not her, like we're not traveling planes or anything, but where she's buried. And Bertie, I love you. You are one of my dearest friends in the world. But it needs to be Caius. Don't feel pressured if you can't or you don't want, like, no questions. It's not just I can make the journey.
I would be honored. Caius is going to reach out and very slowly just put a hand on one of Anya's shoulders.
Anya, she sort of reaches up and she squeezes the hand, and she just whispers, "Thank you." And she kind of waits, almost a little bit tensely, just to see how Bertie responds next.
Bertie watches this. He watches Caius with some surprise, but also fondness. Reach out to Anya. He's very quiet though, because if Anya could see, she might get the vibe there. Bertie doesn't feel like he's part of this conversation, but he understands that both of them want him to be, or that Anya certainly does. And that's important. He's been a lot more chill over this time. A lot less visibly anxious and wound up. He does like have his kind of like fingers sort of like tapping along on his side for a moment, but he doesn't say anything for a couple of moments. He's like, "I hope it goes well. I think it's the right thing to do." And I hope you're okay.
I'm okay. I'm sorry for not. And Anya's sort of quiet for a moment, lets that sentence trail off, and then after a minute, she sort of opens her mouth and she's like, "I know it's a big ask with everything. And I know that it's a small ask too with everything, but Caius, you deserve to see parts of me too. And I think more than anyone else, this will be a part of me that you understand. Bertie, we have years and time and so much. I just want to have this moment.
I think that's good. You don't have to apologize for anything. I think it'll be good for both of you. You don't have to ask me for permission again. If there's anything I can do to help or anything I can cook before you go, let me know. And he looks between Anya and Caius, and I'd like to roll an insight check on both of them individually. So for Anya, that's a 22, and for Caius, that's a 20.
So, Anya, what you'd probably gauge a lot from both the context of the conversation, the difficulty she's had sort of phrasing it, you sort of see and feel this sense of guilt. And it's multi-layered. So there's guilt about missed opportunities. There's guilt about her own ways she's behaved in the past. There's guilt about ways she holds herself back from love that isn't easy. There's also a fresher layer of guilt. There's guilt about leaving Bertie on his own. And there's guilt about taking joy, even if it's brief, from Bertie. And behind that guilt, there's a sense of assuredness. Like, despite all the guilt, she knows that this is what she has to do.
And Caius is, from the moment his name was mentioned, there was a brief moment of surprise, and then he actively started hiding his emotions, which makes him a little bit more difficult to read. However, there is definite confusion on a very base level. But then a little bit deeper, there is almost a warmth and an understanding, almost determination. Yeah.
Bertie looks from one to the other and just kind of like chews on his bone lip for a moment, and then slides his hands out to take both of their hands and gives them both a squeeze. And he's like, I think it'll be good. And I care about both of you a lot, so, sharing a bit of that friendship that I share with both of you. So it's some slightly different ways. Being friends together and sharing part of that journey will be good, I think, if that's what both of you want to do. So, I hope it goes well.
Anya, in response, she doesn't say anything, but she takes Bertie's hand, and she presses the back of it to her forehead.
Bertie does, for a moment, kind of just make a bit of a judder. Like, immediately tenses up. Like he's upset, but he kind of like almost feel that energy kind of calm down as he's sort of pushing that down. And then he just lets her do that.
It's probably like 5 or 10 seconds or so into this handhold that Caius kind of starts just kind of nodding slightly, and then right, good. And the hand that is almost awkwardly now been resting on Anya's shoulder the entire conversation, he sort of releases that a little bit and gives just a little pet, and just kind of lets both of his arms go down onto his side. Goes, okay. Well, I've got some things to sort of tend to in the next few days or so. Just let me know when you want to leave, and we'll head out, I guess.
Of course, Caius. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Now, about 2 weeks later, and Mitch, feel free to pitch in on this one. I can imagine a lot of the journey was done in a sometimes awkward but mostly companionable silence. With Anya really not knowing where to begin or how to even start the endless conversations that need to be had, or even the conversations that don't need to be had, the conversations that just happen. She finds it hard. So aside from pleasantries and necessary conversation to do with hunting for food or setting up camp, the first 2 weeks is probably mostly silent. Does that ring true for you, Mitch?
100%. I think the first day, Caius will be trying to fill any sort of silence whatsoever with just random facts that may or may not be true. Just looking at, talking about some of the birds that are flying overhead, how they're, oh yes, those are the blue-chested thestrals. Apparently, I think it's a little difficult to tell from this distance, but it looks like it. Yes.
I think the first time that happens, and it's something that Anya knows and is incorrect, there's probably a very awkward, mostly with any of those that she hasn't known up until this point, she's sort of agreed and been like, oh, yes, interesting. And trying her best to sound genuine at that. But the first instance that there is of her knowing that's incorrect, she... the first statement probably originally comes off quite blunt, not harsh, but blunt, of her being like, no, actually, Caius, that's not true. That's actually the blue-toed spotted mushroom. If you eat that, it is poisonous. You can't eat that. Please don't. And then she kind of would pause and she's like, I can teach you some things if you want.
Well, I mean, that would, if you've got, well, I mean, we have nothing but time, I guess. That would be lovely. I learned about some things a long time ago when I was traveling with a group, but that was many years ago now.
It doesn't even really have to be me teaching you, I guess. If you want to ask if the fact that you know is true, I can help through that. It's I think sometimes people don't just tell, but it can be. I'd like you to not poison yourself, and I'd love to help with that.
I would also like to not poison myself. I'm very much looking forward to life just in general, and I'm under the impression that poisoned mushrooms are not a good way to go about that. So if you could teach me things, that would be lovely. Thank you.
You should go camping with Royer and I sometime.
Oh, that would be very nice.
I teach her a lot of this then. And she's quite rude to me, so knocks me down a peg. It's needed. Very necessary. Teenagers, scary, terrifying.
I like it.
It would probably be delightful for you to watch, not in a mean way, but just in a teenagers.
Sure. Yes. No, I think that would be a wonderful idea.
Don't feel like you have to just because I'm asking, Caius. If you would want to.
I think that would be nice. We've got time now. We've killed a lot of bad things, so it would take a while for more bad things to come up, so we have nothing but time.
You leave the bad things to me, okay? You've got bees now.
That is true.
So, you take your trek and eventually make your way to where Bryn is buried.
Sorry, I am aware that this is going on a little bit, but we are near the end of it. So, as they're approaching where Bryn is buried, it's sort of this. They would have passed a vast field near a citadel. And once they reach the end of that vast field, it sort of breaks off into forest and sort of rocky alcoves. And Anya leads Caius through this rocky, almost like a place of erosion where a natural creek has passed through, and it's quite thick with shrubbery, but you can see a sort of path around, and Anya, she says to Caius as she's sort of leading through, she's like, we're not far now. It's maybe 5 minutes from here. She would have liked to have been with nature, so that's where I placed her.
Caius gives a bit of a nod, and then after 5 seconds goes, "Oh, it's a very nice spot."
I guess you're probably wondering why you?
I'm going to be honest. Please don't take this the wrong way, but we haven't gotten along very well in the past.
I know, guys.
There were definitely questions.
With Bertie, we have the connection and knowledge of knowing that we will live to see unspeakable joys and unspeakable horrors, and have to cope with that in any way we can. With Neumann, he sees things in the world that I can't possibly comprehend, and that always surprises me and keeps me on my toes, which is hard for someone who has lived as long as I have and who will live as long as I will. Rook, I love deeply. We share a connection that I haven't felt in a long time, and in a way haven't ever felt. And she understands. I don't know how to explain it much more than that, but she understands. Rivari, well, Rivari is a lot like me in some bad ways, but in a lot of good. Caius, each of them have their own ways of digging under the hard shell that I didn't realize I had built up. They needle in there, they dig down like worms into the earth, and they find parts of me that they can eat. This is not a bad thing, but I'm describing it like it's bad. They are making their homes inside of me. When I met you, 2 things happened. First, I wrote you off. You were too young, too different. In a way, too human. And that is my mistake. Because there is nothing wrong with that. But in another way, I saw someone who is enough like me that digging past my shell would hurt. You are not someone who causes hurt, Caius. I know that you are strong and that you are very good at fighting and awfully good at killing, but you are not someone who causes hurt. We both lost people dear to us in ways that changed our lives forever. I know it's not what most friendships are built on, or it's not how most things start, but you deserve for me to try, Caius. You are not a write-off. You are not a risk too scary to take. I brought you with me to Bryn because it's the most vulnerable that I can be, is showing you where my heart lives. No one else living knows where she is buried. And it would honor me if you would get to meet her. And Anya continues walking. She does listen, but she just continues walking. She would have paused for a moment to say all of that, but she starts walking through the brush again.
Caius doesn't immediately respond, and as quietly as he can, he's just going to very slowly go up and just brush a little tear from his eye. And we'll take just a couple of seconds just to gather his breath. And we'll follow after Anya.
You eventually find yourself at the gravesite. I don't know if there's a few quick words that Anya wants to say, or whether
when they reach the gravesite, Anya's quiet, and she has been since she spoke with Caius. But when Caius catches up and approaches, he'll see that at where this natural sort of crevice and creek has formed, there's a trickling, and I mean tiny, like trickling natural waterfall that falls onto a formation of rocks that seem just a little bit too conspicuous to have formed naturally. And at the top, there's one that is taller than the others. And Anya, she reaches out for Caius's hand.
Caius reaches back and takes it.
Anya, she takes Caius's hand and places it with hers on the makeshift headstone. And they're quiet.
The two of you take time to take in this moment before beginning the 2-week trek back home.
Just at the end, once we do stand up and break off, Caius is just going to very slowly just pull Anya into a hug. Just say, thank you for bringing me here.
There's a quiet moment, and Anya's face is kind of bent down a little bit to sort of be buried on Caius's shoulder. And after a moment, she whispers very quietly, "Thank you for coming with me."
All right.
They
So-
go back home.
Yeah. Neumann, I believe you had something fairly early on in the year.
So Neumann, after the night where we had the celebrations, and the conga line and all that, Neumann would have gone back somewhere safe and somewhere isolating, somewhere quiet and alone, and he would have taken out a piece of parchment and quill, and he would have written the following: "Hi, hello, howdy. I know I haven't written in a while, but I just wanted to give you an update that you would probably, or have been probably, waiting for quite some time. I've been doing well. I've been living a life free from burdens, burdens that have taken so much of my life and, well, of me. Time has been turbulent, to say the least, but we have been making decent progress to what we've all been wanting for so long. I know I didn't leave on the best of terms. I know I left without saying goodbye, and I hope you've all been doing well without me. I understand why you didn't want to let me go, but it just wasn't working. I felt helpless, and staying wasn't making the situation any better. I saw firsthand what waiting resulted in. I had to do something, and once I had the means to do that something, I couldn't wait. And I hope this doesn't let you have some kind of grudge against me, or I hope this doesn't stop us from talking again. On a side note though, I have met some of the strongest, colourful, sympathetic and hot-headed people out there. I've met so many wonderful characters. Every single one of these people is truly amazing, and people that I'll always hold close to my heart. I've found another place I belong in this cold, hostile world, and I really like it. I've experienced so much, but the things that I am truly proud of are some of the people that I have met recently. I've met a reputable potion seller that has helped me shape me into a more responsible and compassionate man. They've improved so much, and also as a result of that has guided me through some very troubling times. I do hope I wasn't too much of a nuisance, however. I was pretty mean to them from time to time, but I didn't really mean it, and I hope they know that. I met a gentle yet powerful archer who I dare not cross. I've never met someone with such wisdom and grace, except for you, Mum. Since she has been our group's chain link that never breaks, and I honestly don't know where we would have ended up without her. I met a near angel of a man who has taught me the importance of teamwork, shown me how much someone can achieve with sheer hard work and compassion, and is someone who I truly look up to. I hope to know this person as long as I live, and I'm looking forward to seeing them achieve greater and greater things. I met one of the most caring bounty hunters out there, which I know it sounds contradictory, but they are someone I've been able to really connect with and share my pain with. They are someone who I can really relate to, and we don't speak that much these days. They've made some significant changes in their life, and I'll always be there to support them, and I know they'll always be there to support me. And lastly, I met one of the most amazing people I've ever met. Charismatic, dramatic, chaotic, and power, all in one very talented package, and someone who I'll call my closest friend for the rest of my life. I hope they understand how much they mean to me. I have done so many things. I've seen almost anything I could imagine. I have achieved the one thing I've always wanted in life, and crafted and obtained fortune beyond imagination. However, these people are my greatest treasure. They've given me priceless memories and helped me through literally the darkest depths there were. Our land is free and at a great cost, and a cost I'll never be able to repay. Some of these friends paid some of that cost. I just hope being thankful is enough. But as you would know, Dad, nothing is ever free, and this was definitely an absolutely unsurmountable task to complete. I'm writing because I want to invite you back to your home. I want you to see the person I've become and the things I've achieved, but mainly I want you to meet the family. Mano a mano. I hope to see you when we are all ready. I have a lot of work to do before I am, but hopefully soon. Sincerely, Neumann. Paw print. Neumann will pocket that, post it at a later date, and join the celebrations of that night.
Okay. Anything
Jake,
else?
I just want to wish you a very get fucked. Thank you.
I mean,
Anything else in particular over like the first few months of the year?
Food.
Neumann has
News?
something, but it's not the first couple of months of the year.
Okay.
It's basically the entirety of the year.
Okay. Well,
So
how does
I'm
Neumann
not sure if
spend
there's
his
anything more appropriate.
How does Neumann spend his year?
So Neumann worked very closely with freeing his home, whilst Rook and Anya are out killing the bad guys, hunting them down, or I can't remember what the word was that Eddie used, but basically snuff them out. Extinguish, that was it. Neumann will be doing the other side of things. He will be helping the people. He will be building foundations so that people can come back, bring refugees back. He will be working closely with the other lands, setting up things like teleportation circles to aid travel so that people don't have to take long boat rides home. Neumann will be working closely with the governments to get funds, subsidize costs so that people can come back home but don't necessarily have to find work straight away, rebuild a home, build a family before they can start doing that. Neumann's going to set up hospitals, institutions, embassies, that kind of stuff to just make the process so much easier. And this isn't just in Kharas, this is all around, as far as Neumann can reach on the places that he's travelled. Newman's made a lot of connections recently. Unfortunately, lots of the significant ones are now dead. Unfortunately, part of the cost of freeing Kharas, unfortunately. But yeah, he does have a lot of fingers in people's mayo jars, so to speak. So, but yeah, so Neumann is basically just going to be dedicating his entire next couple of years to just rebuilding and helping people.
Yeah. Ross, I believe you had something for early on in the year as well.
I do. I don't know how I can follow up that beautiful, heartfelt, wonderful scene. For audio listeners, we're all crying in the club right now. Thanks, Jake. Okay, so I'll say in a macro sense before we focus in on this scene that happens quite early in the year, Ross would, like Neumann, spend a lot of time in the rebuild effort of Kharas. Her focus is on helping people, and she wants her home to look the way she remembers it when she was a child, and not the almost black and white place it had become over time. But there's a point for the first 6 months of the year, people would notice that Ross, much like in the year gap, the time skip, she gets these fits of vagueness, where before it was minutes at a time, it can last a while, where she just becomes blank. And anyone who looks closely enough, or anyone who maybe talks to Sam about what she's going through, would know that it is guilt. That there is a lot of guilt in her. And periodically over the first 6 months, she would, without getting into too many details, she would pull every member of the party aside in a private, personal moment, and she would apologize for all the things she said and did in the name of a cause that they didn't sign up to fight. And even when they did, she would apologize for what she did. But again, unless asked, she would not go into specifics. She would just say that she is sorry for a lot of the ways she behaved, the ways she felt she had to behave in order to survive, and that none of it is excusable, even if it felt like the only option. Anyone who, I'm assuming the party doesn't, gather around a water cooler and be like, so who of you has had the guilt conversation with Ross? But people would notice as it goes along that it's almost like she's spiraling around one specific person. And it takes that full 6 months for her to talk to Caius. And she would find a private time where it wouldn't be weird for the two of them to go off on their own. She would probably do this in Durham, probably somewhere Caius felt really comfortable, so probably Bertie's house. To be honest, maybe while Bertie's out. And it's just the two of them. And she would pull him aside and say, hey, can I have a private word?
Yes, of course. I can see you, he says to a random dark shadow in a corner, and waits for a little bit. Does anyone step out of the shadows?
Yeah.
Sorry, it's the habit now. If someone has a private conversation, you have to look at the shadows.
Oh, does Neumann do that to you too?
Oh, no, we've got another house guest that just sort of appears every now and then.
Oh, that... Did you just call Anya a house guest?
Is that the wrong term?
No. This is your and Bertie's home. Like, you can use whatever term you...
Well, it's Bertie's home, really. I'm
Caius, come
also
on.
a house guest, if you will.
Caius.
What?
Caius, there's a complete sidebar to the conversation I really need to have with you. At some point, you need to look at, like, yourself. Buddy, this is your house, too.
But no, it isn't, though. Bertie built it. I stay here. I've got a room, or a few, but it's Bertie's house. Was this the conversation?
No, I just feel like... I'm getting this... I'm sorry.
Why are we What's happening?
Okay. I need to talk to you about something. I need to apologize to you.
You do?
Yes.
Oh. Okay. Well, thank you. And apology accepted.
No, I need...
Do you need to sit down?
We should sit down, yep.
Okay.
No, it's Caius, I'm just nervous, alright? It's...
Well, so am I now.
I'm sorry, okay, look. And she, like, sits down, elbows on her knees, and her fingers are tapping together. It's a habit she's picked up from Bertie, where she used to fidget her rings a lot, and now it's shifted into that not the same steepled fingers, but this very solid, almost like pressing of hands to reground herself in her own body.
Caius sits down opposite.
I need to apologize to you for some of the things I did throughout the war.
Which one?
The big one. Oh, both. Depending on how you look at it. I don't want to make excuses for myself. And I don't want to act as if I have any recall here. I just want to tell you what I did, so that you know, because I can't keep going forward knowing this and knowing that you don't know, because it's not fair to you. When I have made a lot of mistakes, and I've hurt a lot of people. I have done a lot of things to gather information when I thought it would protect us. And even when I thought it was right, that did not mean it was good. So I need to apologize to you for that day at the hospital.
Bess kind of takes a moment to think and then is sort of jolted back as like he remembers the time. But he still looks confused.
Her hands are shaking, but she's trying to hide it because she doesn't want him to think she's looking for sympathy. When you told me about Ravenna and how she hurt you, I couldn't understand how someone could hurt another person like that. To cause so much destruction. And you mentioned that her being mind controlled was an option. That it was potentially what had happened, but you didn't know. And you didn't want to. And and I will repeat that I am not proud of this, and I have never for 1 second thought it was good. But I thought I had to find out in order to keep us safe. So I found out. And there's no way I can say this that won't make you hate me, I don't think. So I'm just going to say it. I wore your face to do it. And I wanted to keep you safe, but that excuses none of it. I can give you every excuse I have, that won't make it good and it won't make it right. And I have to tell you because you are one of the best men I've ever met. And you need to be able to make informed decisions about the people you keep in your life. And if that is no longer me, then that is no longer me. And then she is quiet.
Caius becomes very tense. It sort of builds up like a wave. He's sort of confused and then startled on the realization, and then there's a lot of different emotions across his face. And he begins to bounce one of his legs a little bit as he opens his mouth and closes it a couple of times before I don't understand. Never mind what you did. That's done. Very obviously I didn't want it done, but you decided that it was a good idea to do it. We can't change that. Why? I can't understand. After waiting all this time, why would you tell me now?
Because you deserve to know. If you want me in your life anymore.
That's... With all due respect, that's bullshit.
Something in her face cracks a little bit, this very genuine break of emotion. Because I am a coward. And I knew what I had to do, but I didn't. Every reason I think of that sounds kind is just me protecting myself. I was scared I'd lose you as a friend. I didn't want to.
I believe at the time, and you just brought it up again, that I mentioned that I made it very clear I wanted to move on. I didn't want to know. Didn't want to be reminded. Not only did you take it upon yourself to find out what I had expressly told you and you alone that I didn't want to know, but now years later you tell me. I hope this has allowed you some more freedom, so you don't have that guilt hanging over you anymore. Well, thank you for the chat. It's getting late, so I should probably leave. And Caius stands up.
Caius. It's your home. I'll leave. And Ross does.
Yeah. So Bertie, what is it that you do with your year?
Yeah, so as usual, all of what Bertie does revolves around what other people choose to do, but a lot of it, instead of like last time where he was following orders or waiting around for people, he tries to sort of sculpt a bit more time for himself. And he he spends some time with people while we're in Kharas. Once though it starts to kind of eventuate that like people starting to head back, then he goes back to Durham. He goes back to check in on the store. He goes back to see how things are going and to settle slots in with people. Obviously, as Eddie mentioned, Anya sort of ends up spending a lot of time with Rook, with Roya and things like that, so he doesn't see Anya for a while. I assume he'd spend some time around with Caius. But he tries to tries to find some space for himself, I guess. But But yeah, at some point, maybe a month or two, maybe 3 or 4, I don't know. So at some point during the after of what just occurred, that wild incident in Kharas in the month that stopped a war, Bertie comes to Caius with a certain degree of purpose, and mostly unannounced. He maybe mentioned to Caius around what his duties were for the coming week, just asking what plans Caius had for it, that kind of thing. And then maybe over the last few weeks, Bertie's been a bit more reflective than normal, or quiet in a way that's different to what Caius has noticed before, because despite how he is, Caius does notice those things. And today, Bertie asks to meet Caius about something, which is maybe a bit unusual because even now, especially now that presumably there's a bit more of an understanding between each other back in Durham, back taking root in life once again, Bertie usually has always tried to make the habit of telling Caius what to expect if he asks to meet him. Maybe because Bertie thinks that puts Caius more at ease, maybe for something else. Anyway, on this day, Bertie asked to meet Caius, maybe even just down at the foot of the hill that Caius's little building is on. Not anywhere near the house or the garden or anything like that, just the road leading up to it, the winding grass and everything like that. And Bertie is standing there unarmed with his hair down, which is unusual around most people, but pretty common around you, Caius. He's wearing neat trousers and some sort of highly patterned dressing gown type thing that he likes to wear now that he's able to. It's not just armor and war. And the usual things, the jewelry you gifted him, leaves, flowers. He doesn't have the sword your sister gave him more than a year ago. He does, however, have the moon staff glowing faintly, an artifact he had before he even met you, as well as something currently hidden in his right hand. And he kind of, his ears sort of flick in your direction as you approach, however you do. And he looks up and says, "Hey."
So, just as a note, it is sort of like a half jog that Caius sort of comes up to Bertie at. He's sort of wandered his way down the hill. And on seeing Bertie, his pace has picked up a little bit. Hello.
Hey, how's it going? Have a good day so far?
It's, well, I've not really been up to very much, just sort of, taking care of everything.
Good.
Yes. How are you? You look lovely as always.
Well, thank you, flatterer. Yeah, no, I think I'm okay. Thanks for coming to meet me. It's a long walk to get here. I can tell you that now.
Wow, you've done a wonderful job to get
Oh,
here.
well, I hitched a cart rider most of the way here, but even just walking up that driveway, my goodness.
Oh, wow.
It's a bit of a walk.
How ingenuous of you.
Yeah, that, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. And Bertie looks kind of, not nervous, just again contemplative for a moment. And he looks kind of down again. And then he looks up again and he looks serious. And he's like, so, I told you about my parents before and how different they were to yours. Still are. And most of the story, how they kind of just left me behind in Daysel one day and how I feel about them, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah. And Bertie opens his right hand to reveal he's holding the silver tuning fork that his parents left him along with their letter when Bertie visited Daysel. You, of course, weren't quite there, Caius, when Bertie got that letter and dissolved into turmoil about mistaken feelings that still carried with them the weight of parents who viewed leaving their child behind for hundreds of years as a shame and not a loss. You were at the same Daysel tavern, of course, But your mind was a million miles away with the loss of your father, the betrayal of your past lover, the disrespect of an elf and a tiefling, and even a tabaxi a little. But Bertie has mentioned this before. This is a component of the spell Plane Shift, which Bertie has become more in tune with as his powers have grown and as he has settled into a life of his own. And he just holds that tuning fork up. I guess lately I've just been thinking a lot about some things, about waiting too long to see how things go, and well, I just think it's time to see them and maybe to talk. I haven't figured that bit out yet, but I know I can't do it alone. Well, I don't want to, I guess. It's probably a better amendment to that. So, Caius, can you come with?
Of course I will, Bertie.
When he reaches out, he turns the tuning fork into his palm and then reaches out and curls his fingers around, reaches out to hold Caius's hand.
Caius steps in.
Well, I want you to reconsider that for a moment. Just a moment. Because I gotta warn you now, where I was born, have you ever been to the Feywild?
Oh, I don't know. What does it look like?
Very different. You probably haven't. Not a lot of people have all the time, I guess. It's not a common place to go to, for a holiday, like a beach or something. There's probably a beach there. Well, it's probably not what you're used to, I guess. And there's always a risk. We should be safe. No problem about that. But time don't work the same way in the Feywild. If we're quick, worst can be as hours, a day or two, and I'm not sure if I'll be able to tether to wherever they are, if they're still there. But I have this. And he digs into little hip bag that you gifted him more than a year ago, I guess. And he holds up a tube sort of thing, which Caius would recognize as a scroll case. Sisters have probably pelted him with one once or twice, at least. A spell to locate someone, a creature. Hopefully, if it doesn't take me straight there, it shouldn't be far. But again, I want to try to do this, and I want you there, ideally. But it's your choice, and I'll accept it either way.
Bertie, I'm with you. Always.
Okay. All right then. Thank you. And but he kind of pulls away for a bit, and he out of the little hip bag, he takes out a vial of maybe dust or sand out of his hip bag and kind of scatters it on the ground before kneeling down and very carefully making some kind of shapes of an arcane circle with the tuning fork. And he is sort of focused and tense, but as always, Bertie's magic is sculpted through practice and through the passion of creativity, and kind of like how he looks when he cooks together with you. And after a moment, he pauses for a moment and stands up and holds out his hand. Last chance, you okay with any of this? If all goes well, we'll be back in no time at all, but it's up to you.
I've got nothing planned. And he takes your hand.
And Bertie's fingers curl into yours, and you feel the energy of Bertie's magic flow through you for a moment, through your connected hands, and down through your body and out your feet, where it radiates to fill the circle he's drawn. And the scenery suddenly changes. And Darby, what do we see?
You see, it's almost like stepping into a lush forest within the material plane. as the closest point of reference you have. But the colors seem a lot more vibrant. You take a moment to take in things about the foliage to the plant life, and as well as the bugs or bug-like creatures glittering around. You notice that they are these strange creatures not native to the material plane. Some of them resemble miniaturized versions of otherwise normal beasts with wings of various descriptions, while others are just strange. You don't have any real point of reference to how these look.
And I guess I'll also mention Bertie looks a bit different. Still the same, but no whites in his eyes, just the pink. More flowers, more thorns, just a little bit more fey. Like her veil's been pushed back just a little, and Bertie looks to see how Caius is going. Still holding hands.
Caius is just kind of looking around with a mixture of shock and awe, if you will. No, I've not been here before.
Yeah, I know that checks. Yeah, that's good to hear, I guess. In a way, you can get lost in here pretty easy. But we won't, so that'll be fine. Well, and Bertie looks a bit self-conscious and kind of slips his hand back and puts the tuning fork away. And then he takes out the little spell scroll case and pops it open and unfurls the scroll and kind of like traces the symbols on the page. And then his energy, like the magic flashes, and he's going to cast Locate Creature to try and find his birth parents.
Yeah. So with the aid of the spell, it's not too long before you manage to find them. Distance is weird in the Feywild, but that kind of works to your advantage with this spell. And as a being of the Feywild, you are able to kind of subconsciously make the distance it takes for you to travel places briefer. And you eventually come across to a Ladrin that you recognize as your parents.
Do they still look about the same?
Yeah, they look just as you remember them.
So one of them's green, one of them's pink. Both of them are Springer Ladrin. If for the same season currently. They're a lot more typically Ladrin looking than Bertie is. And Bertie still looks, for all intents and purposes, even here, like a Caucasian kind of elf. But yeah, they're both, yeah. His para is green, has lots of leaves affixed. His like hair kind of explodes into this like long shock kind of mullet of like green leaves, and like they both have even longer ears than Bertie does. His ma has very long, incredibly vibrant pink hair, almost like Bertie did when Caius first met him. But very long and wavy. Like both of them have flowers and leaves twined through their hair and across their person. Bertie's ma especially doesn't wear many clothes. Yeah, they look very alien. There's some resemblance to Bertie, of course, in the faces and the posture, but they look very different. They look a little bit similar to how Bertie looks now, of course, but different. And yeah, and I guess the moment we sort of like step through clearing, are they like doing anything? Just like hanging there or whatever?
Yeah, kind of just you managed to catch them in a moment of just kind of relaxing.
Yeah,
not
we
really
step
doing
through
much of
clearing.
anything. Yeah.
And Bertie just kind of like, he's been very furtive the whole time. He probably hasn't talked as much as he normally does, especially to Caius. While we've been following this little scroll, especially since it hasn't been too long. But he sort of just like freezes, just bodily. As his like eyes track on them, and like Caius can just feel Bertie is so tense suddenly.
So, here's a question. What name would his parents know him by?
Oh, okay. It'd be some elven variation of Berthold, but
Yeah.
I can't even picture it because Bertie has repressed that for so long.
Okay.
Something. It probably sounds, even if they say Berthold, it sounds like it, but not right.
All right. So, as you step into the clearing, you notice the two of them look up, and there's an immediate recognition in your father's eyes. Oh, Beatrice. You've finally come home, have you?
And Bertie suddenly looks like a child again. Not literally, of course, but he was a child when they left. And while he looks the same as he has the moment before, he also looks very small. And he just is still just even more tense, just like his ears are pricked straight up. And he's just like, hi. And his mouth kind of works around words he can't form. And again, just, hi.
Hello. And your mother face steps forward and looks towards Caius and who is this that you have brought with you? Awfully human. Not very fair at all.
But he just like looks at the dad, like, God damn, I wish my mom's tits went out right now. And then looks up and then just like, again, just he's so tense. He's just like,
Before you can answer, before you can finish that answer, your father face steps forward himself and says, "Oh no, Emily, there is a bit of the fae about him. He will be fine. He will remember this all. Oh, good. I would hope that you weren't going to bring someone here just for them to forget about it."
Yeah, no, yeah, this is Caius. Caius, this is my mom and pa.
I am Emily, and this is Theodore.
Caius is going to sort of have a brief moment of recognition, and then well, it is an honor to finally meet the two of you. My name is Caius, and it's just a pleasure. I've wanted to meet the two of you for a very long time.
Wonderful.
Oh, well, it's been a while, that's for sure. I'm a lot older and you're... And Bertie is again like, he's usually pretty relaxed around Caius, or like nervous in a particular way where he's not quite sure what Caius wants him to do, but now he is just as nervous as he was. before. And you can see, like, Caius probably recognizes this kind of thing himself. He is rapidly trying to smooth things over, or make things like go smoothly in a way that he's probably contemplated a lot. And he's like, well, it's good to see you. Are you happy here? Good time here?
Always happy in the Feywild. Bertie.
Good. Cool.
I take it you got our letter. Or did you have to source your own Fey crossing?
Oh, yeah, and Bertie, like, fishes in his pocket and pulls out the tuning fork. Yeah, thanks for leaving that for me. Must have meant you wanted me to visit, I guess. I'm sorry it took me so long.
Oh, it did?
Well, yeah. I look a bit different after all.
Yes, but, you'll forgive us some time. You know how time is here.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's fair. Did you travel much between... Did you go back to the other place before? You must have visited once at least to leave the tuning fork.
Yes. We have, by our reckoning, we left it there a month or two ago. I don't know how long that was by material reckoning.
Oh. Well, and Caius can tell, like, yeah, again, but he's still very tense, but he's sort of like, he doesn't even have pupils currently, but he's still like, a bit of wetness is starting to well up around his eyes. And like the petals, which have been quite frequently fluttering from him, sort of like have started to sort of like wilt, almost like the flowers do around his feet. And his like hands just kind of ball at his sides, and then just like kind of tap like the sides of his like his own like thighs for a moment. He's like, yeah, boy, it wasn't a long time for you guys. I guess it was a long time for me. And you were just chilling here. You didn't.
Yes.
Cool. I was waiting a long time to see if you'd come back. I guess it was only 2 months for you.
Yes. We've made some visits, but we seem to have missed you each time.
Oh. Well, I did leave the tavern a long time ago, I guess, so maybe if you visited there, or we just missed each other on the material plane, I guess. Did you look for me?
We asked for word.
And Bertie kind of just like half turns a bit and just looks down at the ground. And it's just quiet. He is shaking a little bit.
Caius is going to sort of look up a little bit. He's been as politely as possible trying to look anywhere except for his parents, out of respect. And he's going to look up and say, well, it's probably would have been quite difficult to hear any word about Beatrice's whereabouts, because he's been very busy over the last year. He's saved the world, twice now, I think it was. He's been doing very well, actually.
So wonderful.
Cool.
So it's a nice place that you have here. Is this? Are there others who live around here, or is it just the two of you?
There are folk of the fae everywhere.
Well, you don't sort of stay in one spot or anything.
Not particularly, no.
It's fair. It's probably a little bit of that back on the material plane as well. Although he does also have quite a large dwelling as well. If he ever does want to sort of stop, that he did make himself, which is quite fanciful, especially from that particular area. There are a lot of large dwellings, and this one is by far the largest. And sorry, I'm rambling. I just wanted to. There's just so much to say about what Beatrice has been doing over the last while.
Well, when we are next in the material, we will make sure that we try to venture that way. If Beatrice would care to have us, that is.
Everybody's still just like looking at the ground, but like his like little like bald hands are just shaking, and he just looks up at Theodore and Emily, and he's like, and he still has little tears running down his face. He's like, "My life was so hard without you in it. What? I had to do things I'm not proud of. I spent days and years waiting for you. I had to make my own way. I was always looking for someone to care, and you. I saved the world twice. Did you just get bored of me?" And then Bertie does burst into tears, quiet ones, but quite messy.
The silence in their response is almost deafening. You detect there is a twinge of guilt in there, but their fey nature, and you would understand this having come from the Feywild originally, Bertie, at least on a rational level, even if you don't understand it on an emotional level, because it is a hard thing to understand on an emotional level by its very nature. It is a place, it is a very mercurial place. It instills a very mercurial nature on those exposed to it.
Yeah. And Bertie just kind of just snivels through it. And then, yeah. Just kind of turns to the side again a bit. And then like lifts his head up again. He's like, well, it was a good chat. Good to see you.
It's been a delight to see you again, Beatrice. Don't be a stranger.
Yeah. Sure. I'll see you sometime, I guess.
Okay.
And then Bertie kind of just like turns around and just like pads like back a couple of steps in the direction he came from. And then he just like he looks back over his shoulder and he's like, I hated you both for so long, but I see it now, it's not worth it. You're just a part of who I was, and I'm the one in charge of who I'll be. And that's fine. I'm happier now. Good chat. And he does like then just turn to leave, but he will pad back to come and get Caius if Caius doesn't follow for a bit. But yeah. And
So, as Bertie turns to go, Caius does reach out and give his arm a little squeeze. And locks eyes with him and gives him a bit of a nod and a sort of a half smile. Says, I'll, just give me one moment, and he's gonna let go of Bertie's arm and just sort of give him another little nod and plod back to Bertie's parents.
Bertie kind of just like pauses for a moment, then just like walks on ahead and just sits down on a log and just has a little cry.
Just quickly, Mr. Bertie, Theodore, if I may, just very quickly, I know we've just met, I just wanted to say a couple of words. You should, I know things are difficult and families are odd at the best of times, but regardless of the role that you played in Bertie's life, we call him Bertie. If you hung around a little bit, you might know that. It's important that you know that he's grown into an incredible man who has done incredible things that has affected so many lives. And while I know that this area obviously works differently to where we're from, and you're not able to, well, come over every now and then to take care of your son. I want you to be happy in the knowledge that I will, in your stead. Pleasure meeting you both. I don't think we can stay for dinner. I'm not really getting that vibe. Yes, well, lovely place, and I will go back now. Bye.
You return to Bertie, and I take it, Bertie, you cast the plane shift spell.
Yeah. So
or
Bertie
is
kind
it-
of like, oh yeah, no. He kind of like scrubbed at his eyes a bit when Caius returns. And he looks up in query, but he doesn't need to ask. And he kind of like slides his hand up to hold Caius's again. And he just kind of like scrubs his eyes and like stands up and like, I'm sorry about that. Let's get back home. And then Bertie, he will cast plane shift again. He would have the components get back to the material plane.
And when you cast that, can you roll me a d20, please?
12.
12. Okay. That is in the no change range under the time warp effects.
Oh,
So,
wow.
The amount of time that passed in the Feywild is the amount of time that passed for you. It passed
A
on the
bird
material
finishes
plane.
cawing when we reappear. And then the second that we're back on the foot of the hill, and the dust that like Bertie used to make that blows away in the wind. So it just kind of stands there for a moment.
Okay.
And then he just kind of like lets go of Caius's hand and just flops down the grass and just stares up at the sky. And he's like, well, there we go. Did it. Didn't make me feel better. But there we go. Thanks for coming with.
Caius is just sort of going to look down at Bertie and then look up at the sky. And then just kind of flop down next to Bertie. Sort of cross his feet.
Yeah. And Bertie kind of just looks up at the sky for a bit. And he's like, I don't know if you remember back in Navora. Way back then when we did the magic lesson thing. After like the magic went wrong. Back then when you didn't have your control over it. And his like hand finds Caius's again and just kind of like loops a couple of fingers around his. But he still just keeps looking up at the sky. I think like we did the magic lesson thing and then we talked a bit about your family. I don't know why I've been remembering it lately, I guess. I don't know if you even remember, but I remember it pretty clearly. You said how important your family were to you and that you respected them and that you knew they'd always have your back to support you. I didn't get it myself. At least not for me. For reasons I guess you can see. But it was good to hear. For you. And then you said that you were sure that one day I'd find someone very important to me that I could settle down and have my own family with, and then I'd be able to feel what it's like, because I hadn't when I was growing up. But he kind of like turns his head to look at him and was like, I guess that's true. So you're my home. And you're the sun that helps me grow out of the shade. An impossible man who fell out of the sky, points to the sky, one part of a whole. So, I'm not gonna lie, I'm really upset, but I guess it doesn't matter how they are. I'll get over that in time. They were gone long ago to me, but I want you to be happy, and you make me happy, and that's all that really matters to me, I guess. So thanks.
There's not much that I do remember about Navora. But that conversation isn't one that I can really forget. I think that... I mean, I'd been with you all for a while, but I think that was the first time that I saw you. And I knew, well, I didn't know the details at that time, but I knew that you would, well, I meant everything that I said. I knew that you would make someone incredibly happy. And, well, once again, I was right. I'm very good at predicting these things. So I am very happy, and that's because of you.
You should add fortune teller to your your list of all the hobbies that you have now.
I should.
Run it by the beaks first.
Maybe. We'll see.
He curls into Caius's side in the grass.
All right. Next, we have Rook. What do you wish to accomplish in your year?
So for an overview of generally what Rook's been doing, we've already covered a bit that she would have alongside Anya a lot of the time, and also probably working not directly, but sometimes getting some info and going on together with Ross and Neumann as well. She'd be working to free Kharas, doing lots of combat, hunting down people, and probably some political stuff as well. And this is this should be such a good time for her, because she's found love in Anya, she's found family in Roya, and she's found vengeance against Haven, and she's working to free Kharas fully. But despite all these wonderful things, this is still a really big upset in her life. She's spent the last 2 years focused only on her revenge, and not even conceiving of any future afterwards. So now that she's reached it, she kind of has to keep busy for a while, trying to find more things to focus on, because otherwise it's even with all the support around her, there's this kind of sense of aimlessness and a sense that now she can't quite run from the grief anymore, and that she has to face it head on. However, this is really tempered by the fact that she has all these people around her. She has Anya, she has Roya, she has Bertie and Neumann and Ross and Caius, just the whole group that are really good sources of comfort. So that's something that she's going to be struggling with for quite some time, but she has her help. In other job kind of news, she hands in her resignation to the Convocation, where she'd worked as a translator and assistant to Tyshawn. She continues to have a friendly relationship with him. I think she might sometimes work as a translator if she's ever needed, I suppose. But it's not really, she's never really liked the Convocation or any bureaucratic kind of stuff. So she's happy that she can now cut ties with these things that she needed for when she had a desperate goal in mind. Also a certain criminal underground organisation that she had a few ties with in the year break as well. There's no need to work with them anymore. So she's spending a lot of time in Kharas, and she's keeping an ear out for information as well, just kind of loosely. She's kind of keeping an eye out for what happened to her mercenary troop, because they were the Scaled Shields. They were someone that she was looking for, hoping that they would help during the attack, and now she doesn't need that help anymore, but she's quite curious about what happened to them, and there are some loose ends that she wants to kind of tie up. How long do you think it would take? Where would she find them?
Roll me an investigation check to see.
Oh, I get to roll a dice.
Yeah.
Oh no! Can I get advantage? Can I take 10?
Do you have any remaining
No.
any remaining inspiration?
I rolled a 2, and that adds a 1, so she got a 3.
Does anyone have inspiration that they would like to give to Rook?
Yes, I have 3.
I was also going to say, if this was something that Rook mentioned to Anya, Anya also would have kept an ear to the ground for her, just of any mentionings of anything of the sort too. But only if that was something that she was comfortable to disclose.
She would have disclosed that, and maybe
Okay.
to Ross as well. So I
In
rolled a
which
19, so I'm assuming Rook doesn't find anything, but one of the others does.
I will say yes. One of the others kind of. I think Anya, in listening around, finds something that would point you in the right direction. And with that, it's not too long before you're able to track down at least Tato.
Excellent. Sweet. So yeah, she'd try to arrange a meeting with Tato. So I assume, I don't know, they'd be in like a back room of, I don't know, a private room of a tavern or something.
Yeah. You see her, she's much as you remember. Middle-aged, dragonborn woman, blue scales, a sleek horn above her nose.
Excellent. Rook will walk up to her and kind of hold out a hand to shake, kind of looking a bit bashful.
She returns the gesture.
Hey, Tato. Look, the last time I saw you, you told me to get out and leave, so I'm sorry for returning. I hope it's not unwelcome.
From your demeanor, you seem to have grown a lot since our departure. You don't seem as reckless anymore.
No, yeah, you're right on that one. I've gotten a bit of a better control of my temper, and well, I had to learn a couple of things in avenging my tribe.
Yes, I heard about that. Word got to us a few weeks after the wizards fell.
Yeah, that's right.
Impressive effort that you managed.
Thank you. I had a bit of help from some new adventuring companions. But about that, whereabouts were you when the whole thing with the wizard was going down? I imagine a mercenary troop would be under high demand.
We had a job. I hope you understand client confidentiality.
I know, of course, that's no problem.
The amount they paid, they got a lot of confidentiality.
Understandable. Well, I'm glad. I was hoping the wizards wouldn't try to push you into anything.
No, it was not them. You can be rest assured that it was at the very least not them.
Well, that's good to hear. I'm glad you all stayed out of it and got a bit of cash as well. Tell me, have you got a new barbarian for the group? A new front ladder?
No one with the potent rage that you did.
Kind of like a complicated series of expressions goes over Rook's face. It's almost like there's she's trying, she feels concern about this, but she can't quite understand why. She's a bit confused. But after a moment, she'll just go, I see. Well, I'm sure that they'll serve their purpose well. You go easy on the training, okay? There's a lot that you can achieve without that much control and harsh measures.
Understood.
Excellent. If I can...
If you ever want to earn a bit of cash, you can always use a little extra muscle, too.
Thanks, I'll consider it. I've got a bit of freelance work going on lately. Actually, is Charlie still the second in command? Can I have a word with her?
She is,
Excellent, then I wouldn't mind a word in private. I saw the crew out the back there.
I will go get her for you.
Thank you. It's good to see you again, Tato.
Been good. And she gets up, leaves the back room. You're waiting for a moment before you see a dark-skinned, lean human woman enter. She holds herself well, and you see the cloak draped around her. The dark blue.
Oh, hey, Charlie.
Hello. Been a while.
It sure has. Look, I wanted to apologize about the way that we split paths.
Look, I could have been a little bit more sensitive myself.
I didn't have any right to, I don't know, to treat you, to let my grief turn to drink and just be a miserable person to everyone. I should have kept better control and I better check on my temper and everything. Look, no one deserves that, but I'm sorry. I hope life's been treating you well.
It has. And you?
Yeah, I mean, it's got its downsides, but I've got got a great new purpose, new friends, new girlfriend. I'm doing a lot better. But I couldn't let it stand without a proper apology.
Apology accepted. And
Thanks.
I apologize for my part in the matter, too.
Thank you. It's, yeah, I don't know. After all the time we had together, I wish it hadn't come to just me being a shitty person and then getting fired and left in a tavern. But hey, I guess sometimes things come to an end, and I'm real sorry I had to go that way. Hey, I hope the troop's still treating you well.
Yeah. I'm expanding my breadth of knowledge. Picking up some new tricks.
Yeah, wonderful. Yeah, between your arrow and your magic, you've always been, an excellent second in command. Hey, well, I won't keep the reunion too awkward or anything, but I don't know, if you wanna keep in touch, I guess I can put you onto anyone if you want any work or anything. I don't know about hiring you myself, that sounds weird, but we've got some folks that might. If you need the coin.
Work's always appreciated, but we're usually in well enough demand to keep us pretty comfortable.
That's true. It's a good troop. Hey, I don't know, if you ever take over command, maybe you could try being a little bit more gentle than Tato. She gets the job done, but I don't know.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah, she needs that perfection. Oh well. I'll get you a quick drink for old time's sake, and then I'll hit the road.
Okay.
Let's see.
And Caius. What are the highlights and goals of your year?
Well, he's been away for most of the year. Things have happened. He's had lovely chats with everyone. He did make a couple of promises that he wants to uphold. The first of which to his good friend Neumann. He invited him to come over and have a tour of his property, which Caius mentioned in a sort of not aloof manner, but definitely like it's a thing that you can do. I've got a house, you can come over and have a look if you want. But he's very much showed this to Bertie and the single hired hand from Caius's mansion, or Caius's family's mansion, that had sort of been keeping the grounds while we were otherwise indisposed, dealing with a bunch of bald people. So at some stage, whenever Neumann is available, Caius is aware that Neumann is very busy at the moment with the rebuilding efforts. But he would put out little feelers every now and then, and if Neumann responds,
Absolutely, yeah. Neumann will be there, like as soon as the first date gets posted. Essentially, he can teleport. Like he has friends who can teleport him. So and I can hire people who can teleport him. So yeah, he'll just, as soon as he finds out, he'll be like, "Yep, nope, I'm there."
Okay. Well, if it's fairly early on, then I guess Caius would invite Neumann to a place that Neumann is aware of, which would probably just be the front door of Bertie's house. And I would assume the two of us would probably go in for a coffee and say hi to Bertie for a little bit. And then we would jump up on the back of Theodore, and we fly over to there's a little clearing. So as you're coming up to the hill, you can see Dorum underneath just kind of fading away as we're approaching this hill, which is probably it's not too far out of Dorum. It's maybe 30 minutes or so ride the base of the hill out of Dorum, but then the hill itself is a pretty hefty climb, unless of course you have a flying donkey. So coming up to the hill, you can see that it's covered fairly heavily in a forest, and then there's a small clearing near the top of the hill where we angle down and set ourselves down. And you can see at the end of the clearing there's a small stable that almost looks like it's still under a little bit of construction, sort of trying to make it a little bit bigger. But it's a definite landing zone and hangar, if you will. And then there's a path leading down the hill, and then one continuing up the hill, which Caius will very excitedly sort of lead Neumann up. So I've been working on this for a little while, just sort of on and off, as it's nothing too big, but I sort of made it, and I'm proud of it, and still a bit of a work in progress, but I wanted to show you where I'm at.
Yeah, it's a beautiful area as well.
It's quite peaceful. We don't really get too much noise or sort of through traffic. There is the occasional there's the occasional bear, but they sort of resign themselves to a cave just sort of down the hill a little bit. They're very friendly. Always up for a chat and a play. They do play a little rough, but they're fine. It's all friendly. Yes. So yes, and he'll kind of lead you up the dirt path that sort of winds through the trees, and as we sort of come to a clearing where the trees are sort of thinning a lot. Not many of them have been chopped down. It seems to be a sort of a more natural clearing, but there are definite areas where there have been trees cut down, and you can see there's piles of lumber off to the side in varying stages of construction as well. The clearing in this flat land, it leads to you can see a very large sort of garden, if you will, landscape is probably a better term, where sitting in the middle of that, with a large path leading to it, you can see a wooden building of some description. It's not very wide, but it is long. You can see a small, almost like a shed, like a 4x5 wooden shed out the front, which then is connected to the rest of this building, which is quite much larger and long as it goes back.
Can I just stop you there?
Yep.
In the first minute of you describing this place, you've gone from it's not too big to it's large, it's long, it's like bigger than usual.
Yeah.
Very Caius. I love it.
Very much so. Yeah. And then Caius will just sort of say, so this is sort of it. I guess this is where I spend a bit of time. That's sort of where I live. There's a bed in there and a sort of a fireplace, if you will, sort of like a campfire, but an inside one. But like, well, yes, it's a campfire, but inside, really. Yes, but I've done a little bit of a garden walk, which is, did you want to have a look? Or...
Absolutely. 100%.
Oh, and...
Caius, this is amazing.
And Caius kind of gets a little bit flustered at that. Like, oh, okay, well, well, let's start over here. And he sort of walks about halfway up the path to the house, and there's a dirt path leading off to the right, which kind of winds around the side of the house, but at a fair distance. You can see that path splits into sort of several divergent paths, which wind through a field of brightly coloured flowers, which sort of form a maze that it's ground level flowers, but it's shaped as a maze. That it almost offers like a journey of different scents in a way. As you get towards the center of the maze, there's a small clearing where you can see a little apiary has been set up, where bees sort of lazily hop between flower to flower before then returning back home. Continuing through the dirt paths then converge once again, and the flowers grow a little bit sparser as the flowers that do remain are set out in clusters of deep reds and vibrant yellows and oranges, and there's a few young oak trees which start sprouting up a little bit. It looks like they haven't been planted that long ago. As you get to the middle of this section, it's a little offshoot to the path that leads up a small incline to a wooden bench, which is underneath the largest of these trees, which offers a nice spot to sit in the shade, away from the sun. Next to the bench there is a little wooden box, which is open-topped, and it's got a bit of parchment, some dyed charcoal of different colours, and a little sort of disassembled bench to kind of work on and do various artworks. Continuing along the path again, the ground becomes a little bit coarser. Stones sort of crop up underfoot as the terrain becomes a little bit more difficult to traverse. The foliage becomes a little bit more dense, and while the trees that are planted here, they're not matured yet, there's still a lot more of them, and there's a bit more of a cooler change in the air as it becomes still and any outside noises are muffled. This area, there's a path that sort of leads into the foresty area, which kind of encroaches on the house itself, which the path then leads to a small body of water which winds down the hillside, which downstream it kind of opens up into a little reservoir before continuing down. Coming back through the trees, we enter the final area where the stone path kind of becomes a lot more cobbled and structured, and all the trees give way to a clearing, which is right on the side of the hill. The stonework now almost represents an abandoned street, a cobbled street with unlit lanterns standing at attention at a crossroads. Following the crossroads off to the right leads you to the edge of the hill, where there's another lamppost which, when lit, would illuminate 2 small stone stools, which provide an unobstructed view onto the land below. So looking down over Durham and the valleys to the north of Durham as well. Path then winds back around the house to the entryway of the property where we started. And Caius kind of stands at the little stone stool and kind of looks over at Neumann. So, what do you think?
You did all this.
Well, yes.
It's incredible, Caius. And it's not even just the building, the landscaping. You've got an entire ecosystem here. The views are incredible, and you're like cultivating trees and plants. The flowers look like they've been curated. Like, this takes time, Caius. How long have you been doing this?
A very long time, I'm going to be honest. I've spent a lot of time up here. A lot of time.
And I can tell because every piece is just perfectly put. Each piece has character. I can look over to that tree there and I can see somewhat of a story about it. I can imagine how you came to maybe pick that tree and then the exact spot you picked it. I could just imagine like maybe you're walking along this path and you tripped on that pebble and where you landed is where you planted that tree. I could imagine that kind of stuff happening. I feel like every single part of this area has just you. It's just, there's so much of you in this, guys. This is amazing.
Thank you. I've been very nervous to show people this, but thank you. That means a lot.
You even befriended bears?
Yes. Well, that's a work in progress. I think we're friends. I'm not very good at speaking bear, but I think they're tentative at best. But we'll get there. We'll yes.
I haven't dealt much with bears, but look, I'll just trust you. I'd love to meet them someday, but maybe when they're a little bit more comfortable around people, perhaps. I don't want them playing rough with me, you know.
Yeah, that might be safer, I think. Yes.
And if you don't mind me asking, what were the 2 stools up on the hill?
Well, that's just sort of an area where I can go and sort of look out over everything. You can see so much from up here. You can look into Durham itself. You can almost hear everyone working incredibly hard and moving around and selling things at the market, and then looking out to the north, you can look at each individual farm and almost smell the harvest or feel the sweat from the farmers as they work diligently every day, and look at all the surrounding hillside as well. It's a good spot to find perspective.
Absolutely. And I'm guessing this is your spot, or do you share it with anyone else, or?
Well, I mean, you're sort of the only one that's been here. Well, I mean, you and Bertie, obviously, but yes, no, we've. I mean, it's a nice spot. You can see the sunset. But I just thought 2 stools are better than 1 because even if one is stable, one always requires company.
That's very true. I see you've got some perspective. No, this is great, guys. Absolutely. You should bring more people here.
I probably at some stage maybe. Yes, I'm still
Yeah,
sort
no
of
rush.
working on it.
This is obviously this is your creative space. This is your outlet. Feel free to take your time, but I believe you might need a few more stools up on that hill, Caius.
Well, maybe in the future.
Especially if those bears get a lot more friendly with you. Maybe they could come and have some tea with you or something up on the hill.
You know what? You're absolutely right. I should make more stools. That would be a good idea. Actually, speaking of the stools, are you busy at the moment?
Right now, no.
Oh, wonderful. Well, take a seat. I wasn't ready. Just take a seat. I'll be right back. And he kind of stops and looks around, and then he just bolts back off towards his house. And he's gone for. He's in the house for maybe a minute and a half or so.
Neumann spends his time sitting down, looking out for bears.
There's a soft growl in the distance. Caius comes bolting back out again. One arm going like crazy, and the other trying to very carefully hold what looks like a large wicker basket, which he comes waddling back out. And he sits down on the other stool and puts the basket out. He says, would you like a picnic?
Absolutely. I haven't had a picnic for so long.
Oh, wonderful. So I've made some things, and he sort of opens it up and goes through here.
And yeah, the two of you enjoy a picnic together. Was there anything else that you wanted to accomplish in this first year that hasn't already been kind of covered by everyone else's dragging you along to different things?
Just a yearly picnic, or?
That's it. Just a picnic
All
for
right.
as long as possible.
Okay.
There was one very quick thing that I was looking at doing.
Yes.
If there is time. Has there been any sort of foot traffic at Bertie's house of people who haven't sort of been there before? What has Bianca visited Bertie's house?
No. Not in the first year.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I imagine.
Interesting. Yeah, well, I guess every now and then Caius just sort of stops and has a little bit of a think. Yeah, that's all.
Okay. And finally, Anya, I believe you had one last thing to close out the year.
Yeah. So towards the end of the first year, after a lot of work has been done and Anya's spent the time that she spent with the others, Anya starts to sort of refocus on, for her, what is the next step. And she had been stewing for a little while, especially while helping in and watching the rebuilding and eradication efforts. And towards the end of the year, she finds herself focusing on a task that she had set for herself well before the liberation of Kharas. So we find Anya in the office of Athena. They're together looking over some of the last artifacts and the information they've gathered on their rightful homes. And between sort of searching through certain things and Anya mentioning some of her finds through conversation, Anya stops for a moment. Athena?
Yes.
I want to thank you for helping me with this. I think it's important work, and it needed to be done, but it won't be long now, and well, all of these will have found their home. So you played a really big part in that, and I thank you.
It's the least I could do. Help.
We've known each other for a while now, and a few things have happened since, things that you and I both have experienced and seen, and I don't like the convocation. You know this.
I do.
But I trust you, and I have for a while. I'm thinking of starting something. The convocation they've done too little and sat on their thumbs for too long. And yes, myself and my friends and different underground organizations have done all that we can to fix things, to change things, to help, to save the world countless times. But it shouldn't come to that. It shouldn't come to deadlines of us doing their work for them. Apologies.
I agree. So what do you propose?
I'm someone who can be quite abrasive and boisterous, but I won't hold back from saying what needs to be said. Currently, all that does is get me into trouble. However, I want to start an organization. I've been thinking about it for a while, and if you are interested, I would want you to start it with me. You know how the convocation works. You know the politics of this world better than I do. You have experienced. You've been on the inside of it. And now I'm asking for you to step back. And I'm asking for you to participate in a different way.
What is the purpose of the organization?
I think that there needs to be more independent review into what is happening in the political state of all of the nations here. It's a fucking mess. Be it for magical reasons, for political reasons, they just keep washing their hands of taking care of people. That's fucking unacceptable. I don't want to see anyone hurt like my friends have been hurt.
So a global oversight committee.
An independent review into magical and political agency. Empa, if you would.
Roll me a persuasion check.
Didn't actually get my dice out yet. I knew I'd be using them, but... Oh, not bad, not bad. I forgot what our persuasion is. I didn't actually have a character sheet up either. Once again, so organized. Come on. Apologies. My internet has just decided that right now is the time to be just as slow as humanly possible, so...
Remember to use your inspiration, don't roll a 2.
Your persuasion is a +5.
+5, okay.
Yes.
Thank you. That's an 18.
18. I will have to tie up some loose ends. We're still going through the process of recruiting replacements for the convocation, and I want to make sure that there are as many progressive voices on that selection panel as possible. But once that is organized and I can step down properly, join you.
Thank you, Buffy. I know a lot of people that it will make a real difference to. You're gonna say that?
I'm in pain.
We have to stay hydrated. We're all gonna cry it out.